Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidil habibil mustafa wa ala alihi wa ashabihi nujumil huda qadatit tuqa. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammadin kama tuhibbu wa tarda adada ma tuhibbu wa tarda kullama dhakarahu dhakirun wa kullama ghafala an dhikrihi al-ghafilun. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا ومشايخنا ووفقنا لما تحب وترضى من القول والعمل وجنبنا الفواحش والمعاصي والخطايا والزلل. اللهم اعثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا، اللهم اعطنا ولا تحرمنا، اللهم اكرمنا ولا تهنا، اللهم ارضنا عنك وارض عنا، اللهم اصلح لنا شأننا كله لا اله الا انت. اما بعد، وبالإسناد المتصل منا إلى الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى ورضي عنه ونفعنا بعلومه قال: باب علامة المنافق. حدثنا سليمان وابو الربيع قال حدثنا إسماعيل بن جعفر قال حدثنا نافع بن مالك ابن أبي عامر أبو سهيل عن أبيه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: آية المنافق ثلاث: إذا حدث كذب، وإذا وعد أخلف، وإذا اؤتمن خان. وحدثنا قبيصة بن عقبة قال حدثنا سفيان عن الأعمش عن عبد الله بن مرة عن مسروق عن عبد الله بن عمرو رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: أربع من كن فيه كان منافقا خالصا، ومن كانت فيه خصلة منهن كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها: إذا اؤتمن خان، وإذا حدث كذب، وإذا عاهد غدر، وإذا خاصم فجر. تابعه شعبة عن الأعمش. This chapter is with regards to the signs of a hypocrite. Before we go into that, yesterday we read the hadith الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. This ayat is of Surah Al-An'am. When it was revealed in Makkah Mukarramah, Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, أَيُّنَا لَمْ يَظْلِمْ نَفْسَهُ. Which one of us has not wronged himself? A second. This question in itself is the effect of the perfect Iman of Sahaba Rizwanullahi alayhi majma'in. Because we also read this hadith, but this question never came in our minds that Ayyuna lam yazlim nafsahu. We know we all do wrong things. So the ayat, if it means that whoever has Iman and he does not mix any wrongdoings, then he will get peace and security and he will be guided. So this means we are all misguided. Sahaba were really scared to be upon misguidance and not have aman and security. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained this by reading this ayat, Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Allah revealed this ayat in Surah Luqman that shirk is the greatest zulm. Allama ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi writes that zulm is of three types. Number one is zulm of shirk, in which there is no forgiveness. Number two is zulmun nasi ba'dahum ala ba'dhin, zulm of people upon one another. This is such that Allah will not interfere in there, and it will be necessary to give the mazlum his due right. And number three is zulmul insani nafsahu, a person doing zulm upon himself, meaning every guna and every sin, major or minor, is a zulm upon oneself, because by that zulm and guna a person throws himself into the fire of Jahannam. So this is zulm on oneself. Now Sahaba thought that وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ means the third part, which means wronging oneself, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant the first one, yani وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ yani بِشِرْكٍ. Now how can this be possible? A person can mix in his iman shirk by riya, ostentation, showing off. If a person does a good deed just for showing off, then this is shirk khafi, small shirk, lighter shirk. فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. Allama Shabir Ahmad Usmani rahmatullahi alayhi has written in Fath al-Mulhim that there is a qarina and sign of this in the ayat itself, because Allah is talking about shirk from above, that وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ قَالَ تُحَاجُّونِّي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ وَلَا أَخَافُ مَا تُشْرِكُونَ بِهِ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ رَبِّي شَيْئًا وَسِعَ رَبِّي كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ وَكَيْفَ أَخَافُ مَا أَشْرَكْتُمْ ولا تخافون أنكم أشركتم بالله ما لم ينزل به عليكم سلطانا فأي الفريقين أحق بالأمن إن كنتم تعلمون الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بظلم أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون. So when we take all the ayat in full context, we understand that zulm here implies shirk. Another qarina is that Iman is in the heart, and kufr and shirk can also be in the heart. So only shirk can be mixed with Iman, because sins are from the body limbs, hands and feet and body parts. So the actions which can be from body parts, meaning the tongue, the ears, the eyes and limbs, they cannot be mixed into Iman, which is in the heart. The only thing that can be mixed to Iman is shirk, which is in the heart as well. Kufr and shirk are in the heart. It's like a glass of water. You can mix water or milk or some other liquid with it, but you can't mix a stone or a piece of wood with it, because it's of different type. So similarly, when Allah said وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ, Allah meant the highest form of zulm, which is shirk. And the ayat now becomes clear. Sahaba's question, arose in their minds because of their taqwa and piety and highest level of fear of Allah, khawf of Allah. This is why they were compelled to ask this question. May Allah reward the Sahaba with the best of rewards. They clarified many things for us by asking nice questions to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now, Babu Alamatil Munafiq. This chapter is with regards to the signs of a munafiq. Because Imam Bukhari had talked above about kufr and some levels of kufr, kufrun duna kufrin, zulmun duna zulmin, Imam Bukhari rahmatullah is now talking about nifaq. And he's trying to say that nifaq also varies, and there are some signs of a hypocrite mentioned in the ahadith, and what a few signs are narrated over here. The first hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, sign of a hypocrite are three: whenever he speaks, he lies; whenever he makes a promise, he breaks it; and whenever he is entrusted with something, he betrays his trust. Second hadith, 4 bad habits, whenever they prevail in someone, he will be a pure munafiq. Munafiqan khalisan, pure munafiq. And if someone has one of these habits, then he will have one habit of hypocrisy until he leaves it. When he is entrusted with something, he betrays the trust, and when he speaks, he lies, and when he makes an agreement, he breaks it, and when he argues, he exceeds the limits by swearing and abusing in the argument. Fujur fil khusumat means exceeding the limit in through exceeding the limit through swearing, abusing, etc. These are signs. So if someone has all these signs, then he is a pure munafiq. And if someone has a few of them, then he has a few signs of nifaq and a little bit of nifaq. This shows that nifaq and hypocrisy also varies. So Iman will also vary. This is the point Imam Bukhari is trying to prove. Now you may ask a question over here, that if these are signs of munafiq, then many Muslims also have these. Many Muslims lie, many Muslims break promise, many Muslims do khiyanat. So do they all become munafiqs and hypocrites? The answer to that is, number one, when the Prophet ﷺ said, Ayatul munafiqi salasun, he was indicating towards a particular person in that community in Medina Munawwara. There was a person who used to portray himself to be very nice, but he in reality was a hypocrite. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not say these types of things on someone's face that you are a hypocrite. So he just mentioned the signs to the Sahaba so that they can be careful from that person and avoid him. Number two, some ulama say that this is about nifaqi amal, not nifaqi aqidah. Nifaqul amal means hypocrisy in practice, not in beliefs and aqidah. The real nifaq is nifaq of aqidah, and this is nifaqul amal, not nifaqul iman. So if someone has these signs, habits, then his iman doesn't go away, but he is practicing nifaq of amal, practical nifaq. Why? Because if you see in all these habits, if you combine both hadiths together, in the first one there are 3, in the second one there are 4 signs, and if you combine them they come up to total of 5. Lying, breaking the promise, and being treacherous, deceptive, and not fulfilling an agreement, contract, and khusumat me fujur, these 5 signs come. So when a person is talking to someone and he is lying, the other person thinks he is telling the truth, but this person is hiding lies. So this is why he is a hypocrite, because hypocrite means someone who hides, conceals something and shows something else. Similarly, wa'ada akhlafa, it does not mean that if someone had the intention to fulfill the promise but was unable to do so. No, it means that when he was making that promise, he had the intention to break it. He never had the intention to keep the promise. Same with khiyanat. If someone is given some trust and he deceives and he does not return the amanat and trust, then he is committing an act of nifaq and hypocrisy. Same with the other things. So in this way the hadith will come clear. Number 3, some ulama have said that if these things happen once in a while, then they are not nifaq. But if someone makes a habit of them and continuously does these things, then he becomes a munafiq. May Allah protect us from lying and wa'da khilafi and khiyanat and all these bad habits. Babun qiyamu laylatil qadri min al-iman. Standing in Laylatul Qadr is also part of iman. In the second hadith, arba'un man kunna fihi munafiq kana munafiqan khalisan, he will be a pure munafiq. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi writes that this does not mean that he becomes a kafir, but it means he has reached the peak of nifaqi amal, and he is at the highest point of nifaqi amal, and he could become a nifaqi imani and nifaqi munafiqi aqidah as well if he continues upon these habits. Babun qiyamu laylatul qadri min al-iman. This chapter is with regards to Laylatul Qadr standing being part of iman. Imam Bukhari is mentioning some branches of faith, and he is mentioning some of these things over here. We'll just go over them quickly. حدثنا أبو اليماني قال أخبرنا شعيب قال حدثنا أبو زناد عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من يقم ليلة القدر إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Whosoever stands in Laylatul Qadr with iman and ihtisab, his previous sins will be forgiven. With iman and ihtisab, iman means believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the tenets of faith. Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusuli wal yawmil akhir ila akhirih. And ihtisab can have one meaning of ikhlas, which is the opposite of riya, that with iman and ikhlas, not to show off. And number 2, ihtisab is from hisbah, which means to hope for reward. Muhtasiban means taliban lithawab, with the firm conviction that Allah is going to reward me for my worship of night and Laylatul Qadr. So if someone has iman and there is hope for reward from Allah, and when a person has hope for reward, he will strive properly. He will stand for long hours and he will, you know, stand with conviction and with full attention, concentration. So this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, with ihtisab and full concentration, then غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِن ذَنْبِهِ, his previous sins will be forgiven. Shaykh Yunus Sahab in his Hashiyah and Sahih al-Bukhari has gone to great length over here, you know, with regards to the exact nature of Laylatul Qadr, and you know, when it is fixed or not. He mentions some aqwal. Some say it moves around throughout the year, and he said this is the most appropriate, you know, qawl, that Laylatul Qadr is throughout the whole year. Like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu said, "Man yaqum al-hawl yusib Laylatul Qadr." Whosoever prays tahajjud throughout the whole year will get Laylatul Qadr. So we have to pray tahajjud throughout the whole year. Others say no, it's in Ramadan, and then there is another call that it's in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And many have said that many ahadith indicate it's in the last 10 days or nights. And some, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in another version, and Ubay ibn Ka'b radiyallahu anhu used to say is the 27th night. And maybe this is why in our Asian you know, culture we think it's the 27th night, and we normally have Khatmi Quran in there, and people do some extra ibadat in there. Anyway, Babun al-Jihadu min al-Iman. Jihad is also part of Iman, because like in the previous hadith, the word Iman comes over here as well. The word Iman comes. حدثنا حرمي بن عبس قال حدثنا عبد الواحد قال حدثنا عمر بن قال حدثنا ابو زرع بن عمرو بن جرير قال سمعت الله عليه وسلم قال ان تبد الله عز وجل مخرج في سبيل الله يخرج بالله ايمان به او تصديق برسله ان ارجعه بما نال من اجر وغنيمه او ادخله الجنه لولا ان اشق على ما قعدت غلظ وسديتي ولوددت ان يقتل في سبيل الله ثم هو ثم اقتل ثم هو ثم اقتل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a guarantee to someone who goes out in the path of Allah. Nothing drives him in the path of Allah except belief in Allah and confirmation and yaqeen upon his Rasools, that the guarantee is that I will bring him back home with whatever he gains, either reward or ghanimat, or I will admit him into Jannah. And if it was not the fact that I would put my ummah in hardship, I would not have stayed behind any army, battalion which goes in the path of Allah. I wish that I can gain shahadat in the path of Allah, then be brought back to life, then gain shahadat again, then brought back to life, then take shahadat again. Intadaballahu, intadaba means Allah responded. Nadabtuhu fandadaba, I called and he responded. So intadaballahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken this zimmedari and responsibility upon himself, that when a person goes in Allah's path with Iman, this is why Imam Bukhari brought it here, that jihad should also be with Iman and with tasdeeq of messengers, then Allah will bring him back home with whatever he gains from ajr or ghanimat. Ajr or ghanimat, ajr is in the situation of defeat, because when an army is defeated and returned, they get the full sawab of their jihad. Aw ghanimatin, ghanimat is when there is victory. So if they are victorious, they come back victorious, they bring lots of ghanimat mal and war booty with them. Aw udkhilahu al-jannah, or I will admit him into Jannah. This is in the case of shahadat, that if the person becomes shaheed, then he goes into Jannah. So a mujahid will get one of the three. He will not be empty from these. He could get all of them. He could get ajr sawab as well, and ghanimat as well, and jannat as well, but he won't be empty handed from one of the three. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned his ardent wish to become shaheed, and this was the reality. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, loved shahadat, because he had seen the the respect and the honor a shaheed gets in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِلشَّهِيدِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ سِتُّ خِصَالٍ, which he mentioned in the Fadail. And his abode in Jannat is shown to him, and his sins are forgiven before the blood drops on the floor, and he is wedded to 72 hura'een, and some other fazail mentioned over there. So this is in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I wish I could gain shahadat, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want to give upper hand to a kafir over the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah protected him and he was not martyred in the path of Allah. However, he gained the rank of shahadat because of that poison which was fed to him at the time of Khaybar. So that poison is what struck his vein in the heart, abhar vein, and that ripped it apart, and Allah Pak through this way gave him shahadat rank as well. Babun tatawwu qiyam Ramazan min al-iman, that Ramazan's standing, which is nafil, is also part of iman. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi, when he tries to prove something, he goes after it and through various ways. So over here, some ulama said that only faraiz are part of iman, but Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi is saying that no, nawafil are also part of iman. This tatawwu qiyam Ramazan, meaning tarawih, is nafil, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that is also part of iman, like in the following hadith. حدثنا إسماعيل قال حدثني مالك عن شهاب بن حميد بن عبد الرحمن عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من قام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Whosoever stands in Ramadan with iman and ihtisab will have his sins forgiven. Same iman ihtisab we explained before, and qiyam is reference to tarawih, like many ulama have explained. باب صوم رمضان احتسابا من الايمان. حدثنا السلام قال اخبرنا محمد بن قال قال سيدنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صام رمضان ايمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. باب الدين يسر. This chapter is regards to the fact that deen is easy, meaning some people try to make deen hard. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah says that deen is easy. Hazrat Shaykh rahmatullah writes that Imam Bukhari is trying to refute the claim of Kharijites, who make deen really hard. They used to say that if a person commits a sin, like example abandoning salah and missing one salah, then just by missing one salah he becomes a kafir. So Imam Bukhari is saying that this is extreme. Just missing one salah doesn't make a person kafir. Deen is easy. Sometimes it happens, these types of, sometimes a person oversleeps or forgetfulness or some other reason. So you can't call a person kafir just by missing one salah. Similarly, on the other hand, there were people who paid no attention to a'mal, like Murjiya. They used to say that amal is not important and it's insignificant. So Imam Bukhari is saying both are extreme. One is that you can't miss even small ibadah, and the other is you can miss all ibadat. Imam Bukhari is saying deen is moderate, it's in between. With moderacy, practice however much you can. The more nawafil better. Faraid you have to pray, and practice with ease, and don't push yourself over the limits. Don't over exaggerate, and stay within the limits. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أحب الدين إلى الله الحنيفية السمحة. Nabi Kareem صلى الله عليه وسلم said, the deen which Allah loves most is the easygoing Hanifiyah one. Al-Hanifiyatu Samhatu. The Hanifiyah and Samha means easygoing. Hanifiyah is translated as natural unitary belief and correct behavior. That this is the natural belief, it's a Unitarian one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ibrahim alayhi salam is described as Al-Hanif, meaning the one who was upright, single-minded bondsman of Allah, who never wavered here and there, and who just kept on going on one path and stuck to that path, and this is Hanifiyyah. So the most beloved deen to Allah is this upright deen and Unitarian deen, and which is sahla easygoing, like Ibrahim alayhi salam was easygoing. There was no strict ahkam in the Shariat of Ibrahim alayhi salam. There were some strict ahkam orders in the Shariat of Musa alayhi salam. Like if urine drops is splashed on a cloth, they were not allowed to wash it, and they had to, cut that piece off and mend it and repair it. They were not allowed to wash it off. So this was a little bit, seems a bit extreme in order to avoid, urine drops and splashes. Similarly, in the Shariat, there was the hukm that if a person commits zina, chori, sharab, then in the morning it would be written on his door that this person did this yesterday. So their actions were revealed to the people. So this was really hard as well. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, رَبَّنَا وَلَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا كَمَا حَمَلْتَهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِنَا. So Ibrahim alayhi salam's deen was easy, and that is the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. حدثنا عبد السلام بن مطهر قال حدثنا عمر بن علي المعني بن محمد الغفاري عن ابي سعيد بن سعيد المقبول عن ابي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ان الدين يسر ولن يشاد الدين احد الا غلبه فشددوا وسددوا وقاربوا وابشروا واستعينوا بالغدوه والروحه وشيء من الدلجه. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the deen is easy. Nobody tries to make deen hard upon himself by tackling it, but the deen will overpower him. Therefore, stay straight and keep close and take good news, accept good news, and seek help in worshipping in the morning and in the evening and a little bit of the darkness of night. Inna deena yusrun, meaning deen is not very hard, so don't make it hard upon yourself. This is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us some permission and we don't take that permission. For example, a person is ill and he is allowed to do tayammum, but he says no, I'm going to do wuzu, and he still does not do tayammum and he catches cold, or he had a cataract operation, doctors told him not to wash the face or not to lower the head in prostration or sajda and pray namaz with ishara for 1 day or 2 days, but in spite of that he says no, I'm going to wash my face as well and I'm going to do sajda as well. So this is putting hardship upon oneself for no reason, even though he is not able to take it, but he still puts himself in this type of hardship. And whenever a person tackles the deen, shadda yushaddu mushaddatan means takkar lena or muqabla karna. So when a person confronts and tackles the deen, then the deen will overpower him, meaning he will never be able to defeat the deen. Slowly deen will say, okay, let me see how much strictness you can put upon yourself, and then slowly after a few days he himself will loosen up and then he will give up. So deen will overpower him. Therefore, fasaddidu, stay straight. Sadad means sawab, meaning be straight on sirati mustaqim, and qaribu, keep close to sirati mustaqim as much as you can, and wabshuru, take good news and glad tidings of sawab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take it easy, deen is easy. And wasta'inu bil ghadwati wal rawha, seek help with morning and evening. Ghadwa is a word used for the time between sunset and sunrise and zawal, and rawha is the time between zawal and sunset. So because it's got ta over here, it means a little bit of portion. So when the sun is rising, meaning after Subh Sadiq and after Fajr, is the time of zikr. Similarly, in the evening, when the sun is going to set, that is after Asr, is time of zikr. So seek Allah's help by doing some zikr in these times, and value these times, don't waste them. And shay'un min ad-dulja, and little bit of the darkness of night. Dulja means last portion of night. So in the darkness of night, stand up, pray some tahajjud, and seek Allah's help and closeness, proximity, by doing some ibadat in the last portion of the night. Babun as-salatu min al-iman. This chapter is regarding the fact that salat is also part of iman. The bab is very clear because Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi mentioned wasta'inu bil ghadwati wal rawha. So he's trying to say that in these ghadwat and rawhat and shay'un min ad-dulja, you should try and pray some namaz, because namaz is also part of iman. So when namaz is okay for you, pray it. If it's makruh, if it's not makruh time, so maybe ishraq time, pray ishraq, and also tahajjud. These namaz you should pray and seek help because they are part of iman. وقول الله تعالى وما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم يعني صلاتكم عند بيت المقدس. Allah is not such that He would let your iman go to waste. Iman's tafsir here is salatakum in the bayt, your salat near the bayt. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah says one tafsir is that while you were in Makkah Mukarramah before Hijrat, you prayed towards Kaaba Sharif, and then when you came to Medina for 17 months you prayed towards Baytul Maqdis. So your first namaz towards Baytullah will not go to waste. Number two, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah writes that the another nuskha is salatakum ila Baytul Maqdis, because these ayats are regarding tahwil qibla. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. And then in that ayat Allah says وما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم يعني صلاتكم إلى بيت المقدس. The namaz you prayed for 17 months towards Baytul Maqdis will not go to waste. Hadith will explain this a little bit further. I'll read the hadith, then we will understand it better. حدثنا عمرو بن خالد قال حدثنا زهير قال حدثنا ابو اسحاق عن براء عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان اول ما قدم المدينه نزل على اجداده وقال اخواني من الانصار وانه صلى قبل بيت المقدس 16 شهرا و17 شهرا وكان يعجبه ان تكون قبلته قبل البيت وانه صلى اول صلاه صلاها صلاه العصر وصلى معه قوم فخرج رجل من صلى معه فمر على اهل المسجد وهم راكعون فقال اشهد بالله لقد صليت مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل مكه فداروا كما هم قبل البيت وكان اليهود قد اعجبهم اذا كانوا يصلي قبل بيت المقدس واهل الكتاب فلما ولى وجهه قبل البيت انكروا ذلك. قال زهير بن حدثنا ابو اسحاق عن البراء في حديثه هذا انه مات على القبله قبل ان تحول رجال وقتلوا فلم ندري ما نقول فيهم فانزل الله تعالى وما كان الله ليضيع ايمانكم. Bara ibn Azib radiyallahu anhu narrates that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to Medina Munawwara, he first stayed with his family of his grandfather or his maternal uncle. Ajdad, grandfathers from his mother's side, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's grandfather is Abdul Muttalib, and Abdul Muttalib's mother is from Ansar, because Abdul Muttalib's father Hashim had a friend in Medina Munawwara, and he once came to Medina Munawwara and stayed here for 2-3 months, and he got married over here, and he had a child, and then he left for Makkah Mukarramah. So when he arrived in Makkah Mukarramah, he fell ill and he was about to die, so he did wasiyat to his brother Al-Muttalib ibn Abd Munaf. I got married and I have a son in Medina, Yathrib. So when he grows up, bring him over here and keep him under your care. So Muttalib said okay. So after a few years, when the child grew up and he was running and doing his things himself, Muttalib traveled to Yathrib, Medina Munawwara, and he stayed at his brother Hashim's host, and then he said that this was my brother's wasiyat at the time of death, and they said no problem, take the child. So when Muttalib was bringing him back to Makkah Mukarramah, people in Makkah didn't know. So what Muttalib did was, when people saw the beautiful child and they asked him, who is this? And they said, oh, it's my slave, I bought a slave from Medina. So he hid the reality for some time, and after some time, when things calmed down, then he told people that he is my nephew and Hashim gave me this wasiyat that to look after him. Original name was Shaybatul Hamd, but because he was called the slave of Muttalib, that's why he was known as Abdul Muttalib, slave of Muttalib, slave. And this name got to him for a few months, I know, until the news was revealed. So he kept on being known with that, and this is the meaning of Abdul Muttalib. So Abdul Muttalib's mother was from there. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated, he lived among his grandfathers, and he had come over here when he was young as well, at the age of 6, with his mother, and he stayed here for a few weeks or months. And he used to say that when I came to Yathrib, I learned how to swim from that pond over there. So he knew how to swim as well, and he learned it when he was young. So he stayed at his grandfather's place, or his akhwal, his maternal uncles, who were from Ansar. This is about Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu, because Abu Ayyub al-Ansari was from Banu Najjar, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's grandmother was also from Banu Najjar. This is why he stayed in that vicinity of Banu Najjar and Abu Ayyub al-Ansari's place. He stayed there for 6-7 months, and then his family came over and he built his house and he built the masjid and settled down. So Sahabi says he prayed facing Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem, for 16 or 17 months, all the time wishing that his Qibla was the house of Allah, Baytullah. The first prayer he prayed towards Kaaba was the Asr Salah in congregation. Then one of the men who had prayed with him left and passed by some people in a masjid who were bowing in ruku. The man said, I testify by Allah that I prayed with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam facing Makkah Mukarramah, meaning the Qibla is changed. They immediately turned towards the house, meaning Baytullah Sharif in Makkah Mukarramah. The Jews and the people of the book had been pleased because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was praying towards Jerusalem, but when he turned towards the house, they disliked that. Al-Bara says that some men had died or been slain before the Qibla was changed, and we did not know what to say about them. So Allah revealed the verse, Allah would not let your belief go to waste, meaning your salah towards Baytul Maqdis will not go to waste. The 16-17 months salah was also accepted, no problem. Now, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and stayed there, he prayed towards Baytul Maqdis for 16-17 months. Why? We have to remember that Baytul Maqdis and Baytullah is total opposite direction. Over here in middle is Medina Munawwara, and on that side towards the north is Baytul Maqdis, and towards the south is Baytullah Sharif, Makkah Mukarramah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed him to pray towards Baytul Maqdis in order for ta'liful qulub, to make friendship and be on good terms with the Ahl Kitab, the Jewish community of Medina Munawwara. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed. When we go to Medina Munawwara nowadays, and normally we live in Taiba Center or Darut Taqwa, and we enter the masjid from Babe Fahad. So this is the side towards which the Qibla was. If you keep walking and you go to enter the old part of the Haram Sharif, then it was in this direction the Qibla was for 16-17 months, and then the direction changed and it went to the other side where the Rawza Sharifah is. So 16-17 months, one riwayat says 16, the other says 17. Sahabi sometimes counts the next month, sometimes leaves it. Hafiz ibn Hajar said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived in Rabiul Awwal and the Qibla was changed in Rajab. So from Rabiul Awwal to Rabiul Thani, Jumad al-Ula, Jumad al-Thaniya, Rajab. So it becomes 12 to 12, Rabiul Awwal to Rabiul Awwal, and another 4 months. So Rajab's few days, some have mentioned the date 17 Rajab or something. So maybe if 17 Rajab is not counted, it is counted as 16, and if that's counted as a full month, then it's counted as 17. So after 16-17 months, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was desiring that his Qibla be changed towards Baytullah Sharif. Why? Because it's the house of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he spent his 50 years of life over there in Makkah Sharif. So he wanted to be told to turn towards Baytullah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the order, فَقَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Turn your face towards Masjid al-Haram now. So he switched. And this order was given between Zohar and Asr Salah. And the first Salah Rasulullah prayed towards Kaaba Sharif was, this riwayat says Asr, some riwayat says Zohar. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi say that Zohar riwayat is Marjuh, this Asr riwayat is Rajih. And the order came between Zohar and Asr. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed Asr namaz towards Kaabatullah Sharif. Now, the news has reached many areas, but there was one small masjid in Banu Amr ibn Auf where the news had not reached. So they were praying according to that previous direction and facing Baytul Maqdis. Now, one Sahabi passed by that small masjid. It was only a small masjid, and there was only one Imam and 3-4 musallis, not more than that. They had prayed 2 rakats, and they were in the ruku of the 3rd rakat. So this man saw them and he said, "Oh bhai, what are you doing? Qibla's changed." And they were expecting the Qibla to be changed anyway, because some verses had already been revealed. Rasulullah was talking about as well. The environment was such. So they realized that what this person is saying is true. So that Imam who was in ruku immediately changed the direction. So in the ruku, he turned around and he came from that side to this side, and those 3-4 musallis also turned around, and they prayed the rest of the 2 rakats towards Makkah Sharif. And this is why this masjid is known as Masjidul Qiblatain, the masjid of 2 qiblas, because one namaz was prayed towards 2 qiblas. Now, some people say the Prophet ﷺ himself prayed towards 2 qiblas over here, but that riwayat is in Musnad Ahmad and it's a marjuh riwayat. Rajih riwayat is this, that only these sahabas, few sahabas turned. So this masjid is not something historical. There is no sawab of praying in that masjid like there is in Masjid Quba. That whoever goes to Masjid Quba, Huzur used to go and pray 2 rakat namaz over there, then he will get sawab of Maqbool Umrah. So this masjid is just some incident happened over here. History is in Masjid Quba, history is in Masjid Jumu'ah. But some people have put into the minds of these Saudis, and they made a big masjid over here. They have neglected Masjid Jumu'ah, where the first Jumu'ah was prayed, and they've made this a tourist visiting site, and people go over here to visit. But however, there is no special thawab with regards to praying over here. It's just something to remember about a tariq, so about our history. So وَكَانَ يُعْجِبُهُ أَن تَكُونَ قِبْلَتُهُ قِبْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِنَّهُ لَصَلَاةٌ. And then he said that I testify that we pray towards this direction, and they also turn towards that direction. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Some Jews said that, what about your salat which you prayed for 16-17 months? So Sahaba were also taken back, and Allah revealed this ayat that Allah won't let your 16-17 months namaz go to waste. Allah will accept that as well and reward you for that. Babu Husni Islam al-Mar'i. This chapter is with regards to the beauty of a person's Islam. Meaning, there is some husn in the Islam of a person, and there can be some qubh and ugliness as well. Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah is trying to prove that point, which he has been proving, that there is variation in Iman and in Islam, Kami and Beshi, Ziyadati and Nuqsan. So this hadith over here says that some people's Islam is haseen and excellent and beautiful, and there are others whose Iman might not be so beautiful and so excellent. قال مالك أخبرني زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار أن عطاء بن يسار أخبره أن أبا سعيد الخدري أخبره أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا أسلم العبد فحسن إسلامه يكفر الله عنه كل سيئة كان زلفها وكان بعد ذلك القصاص والحسن ب10 أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف والسيئة بمثلها إلا أن يتجاوز الله عنه. When someone becomes a Muslim and his Islam is excellent, sound, beautiful. Allah wipes out, expiates all his previous sins which he had committed, and after that the accounting is that every good deed gets 10 rewards to 700 like it, while every evil deed gets its equivalent unless Allah forgives it. إذا أسلم العبد فحسن إسلامه. حسن إسلامه, Husn means over here ikhlas, and it also means Islam with heart. You know, dukhul fil batin. Islam and Iman enters the heart, and the aqidah is sound. This is because sometimes a person does embrace Islam, but his Islam is not sound. It is for some personal gain, to marry a Muslim girl, or for a job in a Muslim company or in a Muslim country. So the Iman is not with sincerity. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying a person submits himself to Allah and his Islam is excellent and sound, and he is mukhlis and sincere, then all his sayyi'at which he had committed before, this Islam will cover them up. Kaffara means to cover up. Zallafaha means qaddamaha, जो पीछे की थी. और इसके बाद क़िसास चलेगा, मीनिंग अकाउंट में बराबरी होगी, और एक नेकी का बदला 10 गुना मिलेगा 700 तक. सैया उतना ही, इल्ला कि अल्लाह माफ कर दे उसको. وحدثنا إسحاق بن منصور قال حدثنا عبد الرزاق قال أخبرنا معمر من عبد الرحيم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أحسن أحدكم إسلامه فكل حسنة يعملها تكتب له ب10 أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف وكل سيئة يعملها تكتب له بمثلها. Hadith is clear that there can be, beauty in Islam. Try to bring that beauty as well. The other hadith is famous as well. من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. باب أحب الدين إلى الله عز وجل أدومه. The most beloved religion to Allah is the one which is most consistent and constant. Same thing over here as well. Sometimes a person does a'mal with consistency and his iman increases. Another person does amal but without consistency, so his iman is not as strong as it should be. So this hadith proves that there is variation in iman, and we should try to gain consistency and reach the highest level of iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to get to the highest level. حدثنا محمد مثنى قال حدثنا يحيى بن هشام قال اخبرني ابي عائشه رضي الله تعالى عنها ان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم دخل عليها وعندها امراه قال من هذه؟ قالت فلانه تذكر من صلاتها. قال مه عليكم بما تطيقون فوالله لا يمن الله حتى تملوا وكان احب الدين الى الله اليه ما داوم عليه صاحبه. Aisha radiallahu anha says Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam entered upon her, and there was this lady. He asked, who is this lady? Aisha replied, so and so, and her salat is famous and people admire and talk about her namaz. She prays throughout the whole night. She never sleeps. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, mah, meaning stop, take it easy. Alaykum bima tutiqun. You should only hold on to what you are able to do, because by Allah does not grow weary until you grow weary. Meaning Allah does not get fed up from giving you sawab until you get fed up from practicing. So as long as you keep practicing, Allah keeps giving you the sawab, and when you stop, then the sawab stops as well. So do something with consistency. And then Aisha says the most beloved deen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that upon which a person is consistent and constant. Hadith is clear and the meaning is clear as well. We can't go into too many details because I don't know what's going to happen, how we are going to finish the kitab. Maybe we'll have to tell one of us to help, get someone else to teach you as well. Otherwise it's going to be hard. May Allah make it easy. We will read from Babu Ziyadat al-Iman wa Nuqsanihi later on. Yeah, पढ़ ले इसको, पढ़ ले 5 minutes हैं, चलो. Babu Ziyadatul Iman wa Nuqsani. There's not much to be said over here because we've covered this Ziyadatul Iman wa Nuqsanihi and the beginning of the kitab. And Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah is repeating this over here. The Shura tried to explain that over there he used the fa'il and over here he is using masdar. Over there he said wal imanu yazidu wa yanqusu, and over here is saying ziyadatul iman wa nuqsanihi, and the wordings change and the meaning changes as well. Shaykh Yunus Sahib narrates from Hafiz ibn Hajar that Imam Bukhari is trying to he has brought two ayats over here which he mentioned before as well, but he's brought a third ayat of al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. So it means he's trying to prove that this ziyadati of iman makes it complete and perfect. So a person should keep on increasing his iman until he takes it to perfection. So this is why Imam Bukhari says, وَقَوْلِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, Allah has said, وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدَى, we increase them in guidance. And this is in Surah number 18, verse number 13. And so that those who believe might increase in their belief. Surah number 74, verse number 31. And al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum, one of the last verses to be revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Maidan of Arafat in Hajjatul Wada was this verse: today I have perfected for you your deen, and wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati, completed my favors upon you, wa raditu lakum al-islam deena, and chosen Islam as deen for you. Surah number 5, verse number 3. Imam Bukhari says, فَإِذَا تَرَكَ شَيْئًا مِنَ الْكَمَالِ فَهُوَ نَاقِصٌ. When a person leaves something from something which is perfect, then that becomes imperfect. So if he leaves some part of iman and a'mal, then his iman will be naqis and imperfect. So a person should try and perfect his iman. وحدثنا مسلم إبراهيم قال حدثنا هشام قال حدثنا قتادة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يخرج من النار من قال لا إله إلا الله في قلبه وزن الشعيرة من خيل، ويخرج من النار من قال لا إله إلا الله في قلبه وزن برة من خيل، ويخرج من النار من قال لا إله إلا الله في قلبه وزن ذرة من خيل. قال أبو عبد الله قال أبان حدثنا قتادة قال حدثنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من إيمان مكان خيل. This hadith we've read it before. Sha'ira means jaw ka dana, and burrah means gehu ka dana, and zarrah means ya to rai ka dana, mustard seed, or it means, haba alladhi yazharu fi shu'a'i shams. When you see some sunlight coming in the room and you see particles flying in that sunlight which have no weight, that is called haba, those particles, and that is called dharra. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming down from sha'ira. Barley is bigger than wheat. Wheat is smaller, and if zarrah means over here raika dana, mustard seed, that is even smaller, or if it means haba, is even smaller. And the meaning is whoever has this little bit of good deeds in addition to la ilaha illallah, because man qala la ilaha illallah wa fi qalbihi, so la ilaha illallah is necessary, and then little bit of good. He had no other goodness, he had no amal salihah, full of sins, and he had to go in Jahannam because he was covered, his heart was full of sins. So even that person who has this little bit of khair will be taken out. This hadith, we've covered it before, and this proves that there can be variation in iman. One Yahudi said to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, O leader of believers, there is a verse in your ayat which you read, if that was revealed upon us, the Jewish community, we would have taken that day as a day of celebration, an Eid. He asked, which ayat are you talking about? And he said, this ayat, al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam deena. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu said, yeah, we know that day exactly, and that exact place where it was revealed upon the Prophet ﷺ. While he was standing on the day of Arafah, and it was the day of Jumu'ah. So we are taking it as Eid, because Arafah, and after the next day after Arafah is Yawmul Nahar. So we know the day of Eid. And secondly, we are not people who celebrating these types of things. We are not celebrating people into celebrations all the time. No. We move on with our lives. Babu Zakat min al-Islam, same like Babu Salat min al-Islam, الزكاة من الإسلام زوال. وقوله تعالى وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة. هي آية بياقية. حدثنا إسماعيل قال حدثنا إيمان قال نسمع النبي بسهيل بن مالك عن النبي أنه سمع النبي يقول جاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من اللجن ثاي الرأس نسمع دوي صوتي ولا نفهم ما يقول حتى دنا فإذا هو يسأل عن الإسلام وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم 5 صلوات في اليوم والليلة فقال هل علي غيره قال لا إلا أن تطوع فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصيام ورمضان قال لا علي غيره قال لا إلا أن تطوع قال وذكر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الزكاة قال هل علي غيره قال لا إلا أن تطوع إلا أن تطوع قال فأدبر الرجل ويقول والله لا أزيد على هذا ولا أنقص قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صدقة. A person came to the Prophet ﷺ from the people of Najd. His hair was disheveled and we could see the bin-binahat of his voice. Dawiyun means bin-binahat, humming noise like the humming of the bees. So some people, in order to remember what they are, why they are here, they try to keep their memory jogging. So he got off his camel and he was approaching the Prophet ﷺ and he was saying, meaning he doesn't want to forget what he's going to ask. So his humming noise we could hear, and وَلَا نَفْقَهُ مَا يَقُولُ, we could not exactly make out and understand. فَقِيهَ يَفْقَهُ, فَقَهًا means to understand what he was saying, until he approached, came close, and he was asking about Islam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said 5 namaz during the day. He said anything else above that? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said no, unless you want to do something out of your khushi and happiness. Illa an tatawwa. Tatawwa means to do something with nafli ibadat, with your khushi and happiness. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said also Ramzan's roza. Anything else? He said no, unless you want to do it with your khushi nafli ibadat. Rasulullah also mentioned zakat. Anything else? He said no, unless you want to give some sadaqah, charity with your khushi and happiness of your heart. So the man left and he was saying, Wallah, I will not do anything more than this, nor will I reduce from it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he is successful if he is telling the truth. Meaning if he abides by what he is being told, he will go in Jannah and he will be successful. Little bit of extra meaning over here. We'll cover that tomorrow, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين.